This month, on a special Valentine's Day themed episode of the First Person Podcast, I speak with Betsy, Shawn, and Alex about the hit mobile dating sim, Mystic Messenger. We discuss some of our experiences playing the game and have some general discussion about dating sims. How do you choose routes in dating sims? Who does the genre appeal to, and what are its audience limitations? What kind of relationships are portrayed in dating sims?
God damn it.
God. Yeah, baby.
Oh, God.
I just always think it's every time I open the app.
Too much.
In a quiet room.
And it keeps going.
Our secondary theme music is sure copyrighted.
Oh, that's right. Turn it off. Turn it off. Cut it.
17 seconds.
We're good.
We're good.
Yeah, probably
We're good.
We can work that in post.
Hi, everyone. You can find me at Alex G. Orlando.
What is your name?
I'm Alex.
Nice.
She's Alex G. Orlando. I'm Betsy Bray. You can find me at Betsy Bray.
I'm Shawn Dory. You can find me at Shawn Dory.
I'm Alex. You can find me playing Halo sometimes.
If you couldn't tell by the most iconic video game song ever, we're going to be talking about Mystic Messenger today. In celebration of Valentine's Day and dating sim month passing in January. Although some people, I found this is dating sim month for some people.
Every month is
Every
dating
month
sim
could be,
month.
but officially on Twitter, unofficially, it was dating sim month in January. So we're here talking about Mystic Messenger. I'm excited because this game I enjoy. It consumed my life. I'm kind of done with it now. And I've kind of forced some people on the team to play. Some people did not comply. Others did.
Divisive.
Yes. So we have a few people, I think, here, which I guess I'll ask you now then. What is your guys' experiences with dating sims in general? I know for some of us it may be our first, or maybe it's not. Betsy?
As far as dating sims go, I would say Hatofo Boyfriend is the only one I have really played. I have all 14 endings on that thing. So that was really my first dating sim, which I know is kind of putting the pigeon before the rest of the pigeons.
Yeah.
Playing the pastiche, for a lack of a better phrase.
The parody game.
Parody, yeah, the parody game about dating sims as your first dating sim. Pigeon before the pigeon. But it was all good. I thought that one was really quite interesting. And then Mystic Messenger here was probably my second dating sim, although I would make an argument that Dragon Age has some intense dating sim elements, but it is not a dating sim game.
Are you sure?
We
can talk about this. Because for me, my Dragon Age playthrough, and this is not a Dragon Age podcast, but
I can always talk about that.
I stopped playing after I finished the romance stuff because I was not motivated. I was like, why am I showing off in these battles anymore if I've already landed the
iron
the
ball.
kill? So I don't know. I'm sure there's lots of great stuff, but I feel less motivated to play the BioWare games after I finish the romance stuff.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
It's not Iron Bull's first rodeo.
Oh, Alex. Don't even get me started.
Horns up, Alex.
So, but yeah, we can get into that. But yeah, and maybe then Mystic Messenger is your first traditional dating sim then.
I would
so to speak. Oh, we can talk about that too, but like not like it's taking itself a little bit more serious.
Yeah, they are characters who are intended to be taken as like serious potential anime boyfriends. Unlike my pigeon boyfriends, who were all very lovely, but they were definitely pigeons. I was cool with that for what it was, but this was something different, and it was asking me to take them seriously in a different way. There was a distinct lack of pudding, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. But, Sean, what about you?
There was when I was in middle school, there was inappropriate 4chan dating, not 4chan. Newgrounds dating sims. I'm getting ahead of myself.
How did I know?
And then after that, I guess I did play the 4chan dating sim, which was Katawa Shoujo.
Yes. Oh my, yes. I forgot that existed.
And then there was pigeons in a cat cafe, and then this was the first one that was
humans.
Yeah,
like intact humans.
Yeah.
No, not to kink shame, but do you want to describe maybe? Was it Katao Shoujo?
Katawa Shoujo.
Yeah, do you want to, for those who aren't familiar?
It was a dating sim that was apparently made by a group of people off 4chan. That the premise was that all the girls that you date were members of this special high school for only people who had physical disabilities. And your main character had a heart disease.
Okay.
So the gimmick is that each girl had a different disability. So there was a blind one, and there was one without a leg or both legs.
Both legs.
Was there a time constraint where they would die?
I never
for the heart.
You could. There were
was there extra drama because of
there was bad ends.
Conceit?
Oh.
There were bad ends where you could not take care of your heart enough or stuff like that. And
to me, it was a little.
It was
gimmicky. Is that
disturbing?
Yeah,
disturbing
in a way. I attended a panel for the Katao. I don't know why I was there.
Fun.
And the fans, the way they would talk about these girls was a little, and they're drawn very young, so it was it's if you look up some of the images from the game, you get kind of a sense about what
it was talked about on the internet. It was this big less problematic dating sim, and I was oh, this is actually really gross.
Yeah, there's if you take a disabilities studies perspective on this one, you're not going to get a very positive an analysis.
Yeah,
the portrayal of
very confused by the way you were describing this.
Yeah,
how is this?
Yeah.
But moving on from the creepy game,
Alex.
Hi. So my experience with dating sims, I lost at Huddle Boyfriend once.
Oh, did you get killed by the
hawk
birds,
party?
Yeah.
I played too neutral, played it too cool, fickle, one might say, and it didn't work out.
You gotta let your heart free, Alex.
Yeah, you gotta open your heart. You gotta listen to it as well, as the song says. What else? Persona. I played 150, 200 hours of Persona.
Oh, that's
3 and 4. So
nice.
The dating sim elements of those games I really enjoy. I made it to the end of those relationships. I found it strange that you could just two-time and there was a very small penalty. It's pretty not monogamous in kind of the way it restricts you there. But it was interesting. I liked it. Yeah. That's the most experience I've had, sorry. And then this game, oh God. Probably 4 or 5 hours.
Nice.
Nothing
I like
crazy.
It. But that's pretty good.
Is it?
That's dedicated for an outsider.
Of course, I have issues, so we'll get to that.
We're going to get to that.
Technical issues, to be precise.
My 4 or 5 hours.
That's a trend. That's going to be a trend we see with these dating sims we talk about as the concerns.
Okay.
So I've been a closeted dating sim fan for a while, and I've kind of been more comfortable about talking about my fandom of dating sims very recently, having followed Allison Rapp on Twitter for a while now, and another user that goes by AM Cosmos, and they talk about dating sims a lot, and it made me more comfortable talking about them, mostly because it makes me insecure to talk about dating sims because it seems typical of something like a woman to play those things, and that people are usually dismissive of dating sims as just being bad, and most of them probably are, but I get an enjoyment out of them, so whatever. So I've played quite a lot.
Those people are games journalists, they're academics that you mentioned. They just
it's just that perpetual kind of stereotype that girls play girls games, you know what I mean, or casual games, or
because growing up, my perception of dating sims were they were like pervy, like boy games.
So that was my understanding of them as well.
Well,
And
I
then
mean, but there's
Otome
different.
games
Well, but
were
that.
for girls.
Does the presence of anime titty?
Well, I
preclude-
guess we should clarify.
Yes.
Does it matter?
Well, but
Okay.
we could clarify, like,
Genre
dating
conventions.
sims fall, as far as I'm concerned, fall under Otome games. And then some of them are just X-rated.
Okay.
So you can have a dating sim where there's no sex. And most of them are kind of like that. Like,
Tofu
very...
boyfriend.
Yeah, like, it's... You may get a kiss at the end, and that's, like, it.
A peck?
Yeah. Oh, no!
And we're back.
We've had way too many bird-themed episodes lately that we need to stop. And
not
maybe this was
sorry.
like the time not to stop.
For those who listen to the Battlefield Pigeon is a Verb episode, if we make this part 2, it'll be a little different experience.
Yes. Oh God.
I'm not sorry.
But I've played a lot. I would also throw Fire Emblem there as like a
Yeah.
like a not pure dating sim that I really, and again, is a game like I haven't beat Awakening yet because I've done the not the Awakening, the new one, Fates.
Yeah.
I did the romance. I'm done. So that's it for me. And it's like I was thinking about playing again with Heroes, kind of ramping up the Fire Emblem. I've played through most of Amnesia, which is like one that's actually available on Steam, because the problem is with a lot of these dating sims is the good ones are Japanese only.
Hold up, not the Dark Descent.
Not the Dark Descent. I get
was
this all
like-
the time. It's
like-
Amnesia Memories.
Okay.
It's like, when does the dating start in that game? Is it before or after the door I want open?
Yeah, that's kind of an unfortunate title,
It's
like
I
differentiation.
feel like your reverse harem and something like that would be very, very different.
But Amnesia's really good because the art's done well and it's all like voice acted, the whole thing, which is really nice. Newgrounds games, the Honey Pop games, which is like match 3
Okay.
and
Okay.
dating.
I guess I totally forgot about Crush Crush, which is like an open access idle game that's also a dating sim.
Okay, yeah, like lots of free or cheap games, but actually games like Amnesia or the ones that the localized Japanese games are very expensive. Never go on sale. I think Amnesia is normally $30 on Steam
Dang.
and doesn't go on sale often.
Yeah, and the two like dating sims by the company that did Mystic Messenger.
Chariots.
Yeah, they are like $60.
Yeah, it's it's an expensive hobby to get into. So yeah, that's my experience. I'm happy to be doing this podcast because I like talking about this stuff now that I don't care anymore about what people think, which is nice. So I think what we'll do is we're going to jump right into Mystic Messenger and then kind of talk about dating sims in general as things come up. So the first question I'm going to ask everyone is, which partner did you pick first and why? And I know, Betsy, you kind of have a unique scenario here.
Oh, Alex is headed for the exact same thing, I guarantee it. I've done this on every single game I've played that has a dating element to it. Like, I just don't manage to lure anybody in, I guess. Like, I am undateable my first playthrough.
So you don't have a goal.
No,
You're
I
just like
start and I just
I
want to
just
see
go.
what's up, and then all of a sudden, you know, in Hatofu Boyfriend, like all of 10 minutes in, I've been assassinated, and in this, 4 days into just kind of figuring out the messaging system, and all of a sudden they became self-aware and started panicking that it was an app, and I lost the game. So
which was amazing to me because I never experienced that. So hearing other people's
you're good at
playthroughs
this,
it's very exciting though. I would have loved to see. I'm gonna like Google that ending.
Is that a genre convention? I need to know more about the genre, thinking about it that way. Because it's like you could pay in this app, technically, to get like more stuff and
Yeah.
then have the ending that happened to Betsy. So is that prohibitive normally? Is that like restrictive, or is it sort of part of it? You're expecting it because you're a player that does this all the time.
yeah, how many,
Yeah.
based on what both of you know about these games, how many games have a kind of early punishment for not getting your jam on with an individual soon? Like if you don't commit fast and
I
soon.
think because there's the pre-dating, and then like once you're locked in on a route, usually there's a bad end before locking in on the routes, from my experience.
Sometimes, like I know with Amnesia, you can go through the entire game a certain
Yeah.
way and get a bad, medium, or good ending.
Some also have like good neutral endings, but
Yeah,
those
neutral.
are rare.
Yeah.
Those are also rare. Like, so neutral is like not getting a dating route, but still going through the plot, which
Yeah.
is like another thing.
Which is very frustrating, actually. I'd prefer to end the game sooner and get a better ending than find out at the end that you don't get a good ending and you went all through like the whole story, because it takes a while, you know, like even for the because Mystic Messenger is a sort of real-time game where chat messages pop up as like you progress through your day.
That's what made me very, very bitter about the whole thing, is it took me 4 days of like consistently, and I thought being like attentive attention to the app. I have it running right now, literally. Like I'm playing it as we're recording. Like fairly consistent attention. 4 days of my life, only for them to be like, okay, we're going to start over now. So then I had to do the same 4 days, but I just had to like go super hardcore on like one person and just be like, I so like you right now, even though we've just met. And it just, I guess I take a little bit longer to warm up to people.
Yeah, and like it's a typical dating sim strategy to pick a route before you even begin. So like me personally, I'll look at the characters and I'm just going to be like, okay, this is the one I'm going to do. Yeah. And then you do it. And you just... maybe if you don't like the character, then you back out and whatever and reset. But like typically you go from the get-go. I mean, it's less immersive that way though, right? Like you...
I found a wonderful ending that was very frustrating, so I don't regret it, but I was like, well, what did I do wrong? Like, you know? So like it wasn't more immersive for me, because like on one hand I was like in it and enjoying the thing and getting to know all the characters, and then all of a sudden they're like, nope, goodbye, and I'm like, I feel so rejected. Like,
So Betsy, you didn't answer the question.
oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. So, but what was your first... What was your experience with the first character?
My first actual successful playthrough.
Yeah.
You both, when you told me to play this game, you both stood there and you were like, I know who you're going to date first. And I was like, who am I going to date first? And then you guys were like, not going to say anything. But then you guys said Zen. And then I was like, well, like, then I guess I have to. So I went for Zen after I got my game over. The whole time I was playing, like, as I'm getting to know him, I was like, why did they think that he would be perfect for me? Like
We're sorry to offend.
Well,
the taste.
I mean, there's the initial appearance, and then like once you get to know them, appearance.
Yeah.
And like that was like a big thing I found in all of the characters.
Yeah.
And like one of the narrative problems I kind of have with the game, and how it makes conflict, because like people's like neurosis and their potential like problems with mental health are put as these like villains almost, and treated as like really bad things. But at the same time, like I'm kind of terrible, because I was like, all of you are gross, and I kind of ended up with Jae-hee on my first one just because she was the only one who seemed at all reasonable.
Yeah.
So, Alex, what about you? I know you're not finished the game.
No.
Who do you like?
So in the 3.5 days, I guess, where I'm at, so apparently I've not hit the like breaking point where you sort of have to commit, or that where these connections become a little more meaningful. But right now, Yoon Sung, just because it's hilarious to read.
You like Yusong?
Yeah, hilarious.
So you're more like best buds than anything?
I think so.
Well,
although we lol a lot, and then they like me, so.
Didn't you like also say straight up like I'm not a girl when that option was
Oh yeah.
given?
So my experience with the game has been interesting because they've ignored the fact that I said I wasn't a girl. Like they just gloss it over and are like, "Oh, you must be a girl because you're here or in Rika's apartment or whatever it is." It's very interesting. So I was hoping something would come up related to that. Like I'd be able to reiterate that in like a more, I don't know, intimate conversation. But not so much, not so far.
No, they wouldn't take into consideration. I'd also preface this by saying that this is a Korean game, and Korean gender politics is a little different than here, as you can probably imagine if you've played through more of the game.
Yep.
But maybe to like elaborate further without condemning an entire society, but essentially like women in Korea are still in a more they play a more traditional role than here. Between that and the like appearance society that Korea is currently operating in, where looks matter and men's careers matter a whole lot, and basically like the family hierarchy and things like that, or if you play Jumin's route, that's kind of elaborated a bit more. But yeah, it's still a more the gender roles are still more traditional, and it's perfectly acceptable for people to compliment on a woman's appearance and only that. And yeah, I don't want to get into the generals, but it's a little different, and it's reflected in the game, I think, a lot. And two, homosexuality is illegal in Korea. So
and it definitely shows, and especially like when you're talking to Jumin in the deep routes.
Yes.
They're all like, "Are you gay? Are you gay? Are you gay?"
Is Jumin Han is gay or something? Is like
Is
the
Jumin
joke
Han is gay? Yeah.
Is Jumin Han is gay is like the joke. Because that's not going to happen, although fans will take that for what it is, and it's kind of suggestive, but like that would be something very controversial, and it's why Jaehee's route is very controversial for the fans, because you don't get a true lesbian pairing, you get like friendship.
Is there an element of queerbaiting there? Is that...
I have really mixed feelings about I feel that they were trying to the best of their ability, like say without actually saying that it was a romantic relationship, but it at the end of the day is all subtext.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that is basically queer baiting. I mean,
I don't mean to like pick on you, Alex,
No,
but what has your overall experience been as a straight male playing this dating sim geared towards female oriented players?
I found it, first of all, interesting that there is such a deep dive before you have the kind of split off into other conversations. That has been the main barrier for entry for me. So I've had like logistical mechanical problems with the app.
Right.
Like I've left it on and then it hasn't continued because if my phone gets below a certain percentage, it turns off apps. Like it closes them automatically. So it's like I didn't save, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. So I've repeated 2 days.
Oh no.
So really in like 2.5 days when you think about it, and it's like nothing has happened except they're just talking about party planning.
Yeah, so you haven't even really gotten into the meat of like the dating part yet.
I know Rika's dead. Spoilers.
Or is she?
Or is she?
Dun, 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 dun.
If you're like Rika, if your character is Rika in the end, and she just has amnesia or something, that'd be weird.
No.
New username.
you wait until you play more of his songs. Like you tell him that you're Rika and see what happens.
Oh, whoa.
Like,
Yeah, he has a weird sort of obsession with her.
his cousin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot to mention. So Zen was my first route
I was gonna ask.
because Yusung reminds me of children, like like the children I teach, and I'm just like, oh, like you're
like
someone
my
I can't,
student.
And then Jaehee she's not very interesting, despite the fact that I do like to go for lesbian routes if I can, because there's not very many of them.
Yeah.
And I know Zen is Zen, but he's actually way more interesting than a lot of dudes you can pick in dating sims in general, because like
Break that down. Zen is Zen?
He's
Zen?
narcissistic and he's always posting selfies, and if you want to date him, you just have to say, oh, you're handsome, like 100 times every single day.
Superficial.
yeah, so
Well, he acts like that, yeah, for sure.
and there's characters like that, but just this idea that even the fact that he smokes and drinks is something that's very different from most guys who are just considered straight edge, I would say, for the most part in dating sims. And like it's just not something brought up. So I felt like he was more like real, if you could even say that.
Yeah.
But on dating sim terms, like I was like, oh, at least it's something different. Dudes are pretty tropey, but like I think Mystic Messenger does a pretty good job of like diverting from those tropes in some ways. But yeah, Yusung being obsessed with gaming was a little too typical of guys I date in real life, or I used to. And so I'm just like, no, I don't need any more of this in my life. And it's just like, I like dudes that wear something besides a hoodie and like the same hoodie every day and talks about not sleeping because they're playing games all night. And I'm like, I've dealt with this kind of person in real life and I don't want to do it again in a game.
Too real.
It's too real. And he has a motorcycle. Zen has a motorcycle, and that's like pretty cool. And he's got
badass
like,
smoking motorcycle driver.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like that's out of the three. And then, 707 is great too, but he's still even a little like, oh, you're too memey for me.
Yeah, I'm dating him now. I will be as of tomorrow. Like,
Oh, cool.
I'm like on day 4, so tomorrow will be like the first day where it's actually like split the path, and I've definitely made the choices to go in that direction. And
Over Jumin?
yeah.
I thought Juman was like you're the one that you had in mind. That was the whole thing.
When we first started looking at them, and you were like, no, look at these characters, and you pick one right now. I was like, that one, and you were like, no,
you can't pick him.
You can't pick him yet. And I was like, that one. You're like, no, you can't do that one yet either, because 707 and Juman are both not options for your first playthrough. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm at a point with it where I just want the story to make sense, and I know that 707 is the one that has the story answers. Like, I am ready for some like logic here. And I know that'll spoil the other paths if I choose to go back and do them.
Not
but
really.
When I have played dating sims or games like this in general, I play them to get all the endings because I want to figure out how all the pieces like work together, and that's why I played Hatoful Boyfriend so long, because it was like, what on earth is going on with all of these pigeons, right? So I'm having kind of the same thing here, where I can see the different layers of the story kind of make sense in different ways, but I'm just looking for something to kind of contextualize the rest of them. So I'm like, the minute I could, I was like, 707, I'm on this. And he's kind of irritating me right now. I don't know.
It's an emotional roller coaster with 707 for sure.
I've heard enough about chips for at least a day.
Oh, well, you'll hear about a bunch of other things, and like his religion.
Yeah, that
like,
is. It's really
all
interesting.
really plot related, but still, like, it's too much. They cram too much into one route and not a lot into the other routes.
Yeah. So if I pick this up again after I finish 707, I will go for Juman's route. But I've been picking up on some of the. You didn't warn me about Juman, but you kind of did.
Yeah, he gets a little. He's probably the tropiest.
Yeah, he definitely is.
But then there's some weird stuff at the end, which depending on what you may like or you may hate. Yeah, but anyways, without kind of like alluding to a bunch of things. So Mystic Messenger is a little different, I think, than Dating Sims, because we talked a little bit about how it's similar, but how is it different? And this is, I guess, for people that are more familiar with all the dating sims, but maybe you can start us off, Shawn.
Well, it's got the facade of being an actual like app, like narrative of the game is also an app on your phone, which kind of creates this immersive thing.
Right.
And then it's locked away by actual time intervals for the day. So chat rooms open up at actual hours on the day. So like at 12 p.m. on the actual day you're playing, a new chat room will open, and then a free, and so on, up till 3 in the morning.
Where sometimes you actually feel like you need to wake up and because you want to save some hourglasses.
Yeah. So, and you can opt to spend hourglasses, the game's microtransaction currency, which are also kind of given away for free slowly throughout the game, but very slowly.
Much faster than it used to be. Because they have that chip counter at the bottom with the spaceship, which they didn't have before.
Okay. So, I played after the chips were added to the game. So, anyway, it's 50 hourglasses to get an entire day unlocked. And you have to at least read each chat room before you can go to the other ones. And chat rooms will lock to you after a time window of 2 or 3 hours. So it's this constant like flow with your day, something you have to do all the time and pay attention to all the time. What I found really interesting though is it actually gives you the tools to track who you have the most affection with. Because the hearts come up when you're having conversations with people, so you can be like, okay, I'm getting more hearts with this person, I need to be mean to them now, which really gamifies it in this really weird way.
And I just also clarify that some dating sims don't have any indication of whether a dialogue choice you made is good or bad.
I was under the assumption that all don't.
Like Amnesia is one that like you could get a vague sense of maybe some cases, but some cases your choice is like, I'll go with you, or like, I need to just sleep for a bit. And then you're like, one of those is good and one of those is very bad. And sometimes I'll go with you is the one that's bad.
Yes.
So
I found that out.
Yeah.
So things like that. So like sometimes there's no metric at all.
And then there's like the emails. Like the emails is a weird gamey addition that I'm not sure like if it's just included to make you fail more frequently, or because there's like these out of game in any. It's really weird to describe what an image is. But like in the game, you have an email client and you have to respond to emails because you are acting as this party coordinator. And if you don't get enough people to come to the party, you'll get bad ends sooner.
Yeah. So like to me, it just makes you play the game more.
Yeah.
Because you have to check. So in the day-to-day, you have to check your chat rooms. You also get text from boys, which you don't really have to answer, but you get more hearts for it. So you really should. And, and sometimes you get phone calls, not from your actual phone, but in the game. And again, that is a whole other thing that pops up. Usually the phone calls pop up after a chat room.
Yeah.
So at least you're not having to check your phone separately for those. And then you get the emails, which you have to answer, again, in its sort of own dating sim fashion, where you have to pick the right answer, whatever you think the potential party member is going to like to come to your party.
Yep.
And so you're checking your phone a whole lot when you're playing Mystic Messenger if you want, like, a good ending. And, like, it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
You can't really do much else.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I'm not sure about like playing for a fourth or I guess technically a fifth route after I finish this one is because my partner is so irritated with me. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're spending so much time on this game, and I'm like, I'm working. But he's pretty irritated with it. So it's interesting. It's like I can either answer my partner or my anime boyfriend. I'm checking the app because that's got a time lock on it.
Right. There's no time lock on real life people.
I mean, you'll get mad, but
I mean, it meant long term, maybe. Alex, what was your experience? You I know you were talking before about how you were like playing the game with your partner, and then it was like just taking time away.
Yeah. In general, I found the commitment it asks is pretty heavy, considering that at first, at least, you could commit to do something, but I feel like it spends a lot of time establishing that and getting the characters growing in the story and stuff. It doesn't feel incredibly welcoming for new people to dating sims. Mm. And there was an element there where I was thinking, like, so dating sim is a genre that isn't sim-like, but it's called that, right?
But like you're simulating a relationship.
Okay, the simulation of a relationship with a fictional set of characters that are based on tropes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was looking for I don't know. My expectations were a little bit different, I guess. And then the fact that you have to be good at your party planning job is the thing I didn't know. I'm not good at it.
That is pretty unique to this game in particular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like an extra layer of checking my phone I wasn't ready for.
And most dating sims are more visual novel style, so you go at them at your own pace. Or like puzzle-y. Again, they're mostly all, but this is like the nature of the mobile game, I guess, for this type of genre. But you said you had different expectations going in. What were those expectations?
That I could mainly sort of be myself. There might be a path for that. I tried that with Hodful, and that didn't work, obviously. But like Betsy said, I guess kind of slow to warm up to people. I don't commit right away to that kind of in the game. That's the way I play, whatever psychology is behind it. But
like a role play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the pacing allows for that. I feel like there's a maybe an intimate knowledge of the genre that helps you with that pacing, to know when you should be like committing, to know that you're not going to get a bad ending or whatever it is. Because a lot of the negotiating seems to be around getting good endings and like seeing the things that you kind of want to see once you have your bearings. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, it's really hard to be yourself in games, right? Like in games like this.
Yeah.
Like and sometimes I wonder, like, oh, am I the audience for this game or am I not? And do I have to like almost role play a specific type of girl in this scenario because like you pick choices in the game that you would never pick in real life.
Oh my god, right?
Or like, like especially if you're picking a different route or whatever. That's why I found Zen pretty easy, because at least you could be forward.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you're forward in dating sims, they don't like that. Because then they're like, you're skanky or something like that. And it's just like, whatever. And like when you're only given a few options, there's only so much you can do. But yeah, I wonder that sometimes, like we think the audience of dating sims is teenage girls is typically the stereotype, but I'm constantly otome games specifically, but I'm constantly surprised by the community and who plays them, and I think it's usually older women.
I believe that.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Again, this is not based on any sort of statistic I have, but in my experience in having conversations with community members, that seems to be how it goes. And I don't know if it's just like a nostalgia for like the time back, like when you were younger and you used to actually like flirt with a bunch of dudes, like in high school or something.
I think part of it is also just having like the confidence and maturity in your own sexuality to be able to do that kind of thing. Like as a teenager, I would have been like completely baffled, not because I didn't know how to flirt with boys, but because I wouldn't know how to like sort my own thoughts and feelings and desires out of the whole thing, right?
Yeah, that's a great point.
I think where it ends up for me is that it feels like a genre I don't know, and it feels like a genre.
Yeah,
it's like
definitely.
you need to understand those conventions really to, I don't know, to be successful playing through it. And in this case, it just didn't have what looked like a clear path for somebody, first of all, I guess, who's not the gender, because I played sort of against the grain there. I said I wasn't a girl, and I was expecting something to come of that, but it's weird that it's an option, and then they're just like, nah,
You're totally a girl.
You're definitely a girl. We can tell from your typing. What?
Yeah.
What?
It definitely, well, I mean, there's that, but I definitely say, like, it draws on, like, this kind of, like, fantasy-esque idea of romance where, like, things can go fast. Because, like, most of these games will usually take place over a period of a couple weeks or
A month.
Like, that's a long period of time, usually. And, like, what always bothered me is like how fast things go. Like in my mind, relationships develop a lot slower, which was kind of like another thing I really liked about Jayhee's routes. Like because they were forced in, they made this game in this like homophobic situation. They were kind of forced into this like more realistic development, or at least for the way I was interpreting it when I was playing.
Yeah, and then like the fans kind of take over from there, right?
Yeah.
So there are like fan games that continue the story after Mystic Messenger with the relationship with Jayhee, which is really cool, and you know, fans are usually good at these kind of things for this genre. You're right, like the game takes place within 10 days, and then at some of the endings you get married to these characters.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and that's crazy to me. But at the same time, I think it's what people want out of those games. Like, they want, like, the full arc. And for, I think, especially a Western audience, a kiss at the end doesn't seem like very, like, it doesn't seem like good payoff for, like, all the work you put into it.
I put 10 days into this and I get a peck on the cheek.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like, really? Like, and so that's maybe, like, a cultural difference where maybe, like we're used to things moving faster, or like we're less coy when it comes to relationships.
yeah, I don't know.
I hate generalizing though, because I feel like the games don't reflect the culture.
It's
Right? Like, for all we know, there's a bunch of women in Korea and Japan playing, like, a bunch of X-rated Otome games, and, like...
Good for them.
And they should be making more of those, and, like, sending them over here, because I'm sure we would play them and buy them and
Probably.
whatever. And but, like, we don't have a lot of localized X-rated Otome games. I don't think we have any.
I've not tried.
Steam filters out. I know that there was
Steam
a
has
sale.
a lot of porn on there. Well, look at
Okay.
the Honey Pop.
Yeah.
Honey Pop's X-rated.
I don't know anything.
Honey Pop is like you do the match 3, and
Okay.
if you win a few dates, like, you know, you can have sex with them, but then
It's
you're
a puzzle game that ends in sex.
but you actually you're like the last
play the
puzzle is
sex.
sex.
Yeah.
Oh,
So as you're
Like it takes-
matching things, orgasms
it's
happen.
overlaid over the bodies.
Yeah.
No,
Wait.
it's not. It's
Not like that.
A little
those
abstracted.
old DOS
Yeah,
It's
fine.
just match 3
Okay.
with the character on the picture on the right side of the box.
Yeah.
There's no pinning the tail on the anything.
No,
Okay.
although I think that game exists. It's called
All right.
Pin the Tail on the something.
Yeah, all right.
So let's quickly go back a little bit to Mystic
of-
Messenger, and Shawn brought up a good point about mental illness and anxiety and female characters in this game, which I thought is a point that bothered me a lot in this game. Like, I'm a fan, but I am fully willing to criticize these kind of points that bother me. And I've been saying to people a lot that basically every female character in this game is a villain, and
Especially the
many
cat.
Many dating sims have this case where you are the sole woman and anyone else is competition, and you can't be friends, and it's just like two extremes. So did you want to elaborate, Shawn, a little bit on your experience with that?
Well, when you're going through Zen's route, like that was the route I did right after Jaehee, before I went to just like watching playthroughs, because that's how I do most of my gaming nowadays. But like it was such emotional whiplash, because you go from like having this very like intimate relationship with this character to like she is basically the devil as far as the game is concerned.
You got to make Jaehee
and
mad
then like
a lot in Zen's route. It's
I'm
really
assuming we can like, and then like when you go into like 707's route and you find out everything about Rika and how basically they're just using mental illness as this scapegoat for why she's now the main villain of the series, and it's
sorry to spoil it all.
I kind of guessed that.
Rika's alive.
Rika's alive.
Spoiler cast.
Well, and Jumin's route is really bad too.
I haven't watched Human's Route because he made me mad.
Yeah. There's 2 female characters in Jumin's route who are like competition and evil and try and sabotage everything. And Jumin kind of has a mental breakdown as well, which is problematic when it's related to a kink. And again, I guess we can't elaborate too much, but those who like have done Jumin's route will know what I'm talking about. And that's problematic as well. And I hate to use the P word, but like it's
Problematic.
It's like really, it's not okay to glorify these sort of like breakdowns in a way that's used to progress a relationship in a way.
Yeah.
It's upsetting, and it's the kind of stuff that leads to abusive relationships. And I'll make that argument sort of with Twilight as well. Like, it's the same sort of thing happening, for those who may not be super familiar with dating sims, where you just glorify these kind of horrible relationships. And that was the problem I had with Jumin and a little bit of Zen. And definitely Yusung.
Yeah, I was so uncomfortable with that the whole time, because basically your only 2 options when you're talking to him half the time are I'm not Rika, or you can only trust me because I'm just like Rika.
Yeah, or like I own you, small child.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like, and I'm just like horrified at what I'm like, why would you ever say that to a human being? But then it's very Twilighty and this kind of weird, like, if Bella Swan
fantasy.
were a little blonde gamer dude.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And like, it's, again, you're playing out a fantasy. In some cases, you're playing out a kink, potentially, especially with Yusung and Jumin. But like, so where do you draw the line, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not going to draw that line for anyone. But the result is you're going to have some people that think that's hot, or like it's sexy, or you're just gonna have people weirded out. And I don't know if that's a cultural difference between how people approach relationships in Korea and the East, but it's alienating a little bit.
And like with Yusung in particular, like from my understanding, I got the good ending with Yusung, which was I was still like, why did the what happen? How?
Yeah.
Like, from my understanding, the bad ending is you basically manipulate him into thinking that you're basically Rika, and like that's, I mean, it's already categorizing that particular kind of role play kink, I suppose, as bad. It literally says bad ending.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, it is saying no, that's bad.
Or the game is saying which is good and which is bad. For some people, maybe like the good ending is kind of the bad ending in a way.
Yeah,
or at least a neutral ending.
I would say it felt pretty neutral. I was like, whatever, but
yeah. And like, what's interesting too is that if you actually pick the possessive options with Yusung, he still gives you hearts.
Yeah.
Like, so you get hearts either way, and that's misleading and weird. And
even like when you're just kind of trying to ignore him, you get hearts from him all the time.
Yes.
It's really weird. I'm like, oh, no, I'm trying to be mean to you so I can get a different route. Stop getting hearts.
Yeah.
Actually, I have that problem. Like every time since I did Zen first, like now whenever he talks, I'm like, oh, I'm ignoring you because I don't want to go your route again. And I'm just like, but I know you're very
so
sad and insecure and you just need, like, and I'm just like, nope.
Zen is always my side piece if I'm doing another mission. I'll drop occasional lines.
I do that too.
I'm just like, you know what we did. Just a few. Although that's backfired. That backfired with me with another character when there's this one part where Jumin he loses his pen, and it's like a
right.
gold pen. And I think if you say, "Can I help you find the pen?" it's a heartbreak for, I think it's Zen. You get the black heart, and
he's mad
and I'm just like,
because-
but I just want to help you find your pen. I'm not doing anything else.
He's mad because you're supporting Jumin's like diamond encrusted pen ownership, and he's like, how dare he have money?
That's a very maybe I'd get a reward for finding it, like a monetary reward.
yeah. Maybe
I'm
get
just
the
in
pen.
it for me, you know.
Yeah, Zen.
So there's some odd choices, definitely.
I find it interesting that the streaming from into bad and good endings can hinge so closely. It seems like on things that are
Unrelated.
not clearly bad or good or unrelated. That's very interesting how that's decided. Do you feel like it's definitely a cultural difference that some of these things end up in the streams sort of that they do? Or is it just
I mean,
have to have a good one and a bad one is how we decided we're going to do it?
like,
Yeah.
good and bad are like, once you get into a relationship route, are like determined by like the character's likes and interests in a theoretically well written dating sim. I'm implying that Mystic Messenger isn't. Like, there's definitely, I think, lots of good characterization, and most of the characters feel like their own thing, so it makes sense. I don't find myself saying, "Game, why was this a good thing for this person?" I find myself saying,
Why are you like this?
Why do you like this? Why do you like this? The same way I might say, "Why do you like apple pie, stranger?" Why? I like apple pie. I don't know why I would ask that.
But you know, the point remains, though. I don't know. It's weird that like they're both narratively logical endings. It's just like one of them is something the character would want, and the other one is something the character wouldn't want. But labeling them good and bad is really interesting to me. Like one is somehow truer than the other, or something like that. I think I've only had good endings, so I don't know. Like, I mean, I've read about the bad endings for the routes that I've finished, but maybe I just haven't hit the real bad endings yet.
Maybe it's sort of maturity that the good endings can sometimes be bad psychologically for the characters, like in the way that you think necessarily that you're being manipulative in order to get there, or whatever it is. It's like very interesting that could be the thing that they need or want at the end, and that the game allows it. It's not there's no universal being held up here as like, you know, be psychologically healthy or do whatever you need to do or whatever it is. And those are obviously subjective standards too, but
yeah, and usually like the way to get the good routes is you're just self-serving to the character, right? So like with Jumin, like
entirely.
Zen, it's pretty easy. Jumin, it's pretty easy. Jaehee's a little more. All you have to do is say, "Good job, Jaehee," and then like you know, or like
do what you want.
Yeah, and so like in a way, it becomes more grindy and less role play. But I think we're not at the stage yet where our dating sims are sophisticated enough to accommodate all sorts of routes like that. Like, I would love to see, and maybe this is controversial, but like, I wish Bioware would just make a dating sim. Straight up, right? Like, just do it. And like, so many people would play it and buy it, and like, they could just put a whole ton of resources into it. But I think it's a stigma, right? Like, they were like, why would we invest all this time and money into a girl's game or whatever, like a dating sim? Like, you know, that seems like that's not going to sell as much as like the next Mass Effect or like the next Dragon Age, right? Because like that's a game to a lot of people, and like the dating sim is just an added bonus that people can choose to engage with or not.
See, like what I really like about Dragon Age and Mass Effect in extension, I am typically just going to say Dragon Age though, is that the relationships are just opportunities for different story arcs and different kind of role playing and different kinds of play styles as you are these different characters. I do tend to finish the games though after I finish a romance part, just because
is fair.
I want to see what happens. And even though they all end, you know, in similar places, it can significantly change several pieces of it, I would say. But I mean, at the end of the day, you still have to choose one of two things. It doesn't matter who you're dating when you make that choice between those two things. Like I'm thinking about Dragon Age Inquisition in particular. Like there are a lot of choices, and dating is one of them.
Yeah, it's only one of the many things, and that's nice because then your character feels like a whole person instead of just like, my job is my relationship right now.
I am a dating receptacle.
Yeah, and in those games, and it accounts for like, this is a character that I made, and most of the time I think people aren't playing Dragon Age and Mass Effect, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like not as themselves. Like, I am playing Commander Shepard, I am playing this Elven Mage, and like this is their name, this is not Alex.
Yeah.
Although I guess you could, but like I feel like the game accommodates more for like a fictionalized character that you role play.
I know personally, like the first time I play any of those games, I just make decisions as I naturally would. So it is kind of more like me, but it's not me entirely. It's just the decisions I would make in that position.
Right. You're like, if I was this in this fantasy world.
Which sometimes is really disappointing because, like, I've wound up totally single. I'm like, I am unlovable, me personally. And sometimes I'm like, why am I dating this one? I hate this guy. And other times I'm like, yeah, Fenris. So that went well. But it's, I don't know. I feel like the dating elements in BioWare games are just additional choice flavors, I suppose. But when I talk to friends about, like, their own, like, playthroughs, it's who'd you romance is always the first question.
Yeah, because it's like everyone gets the same basic ending to the game in general. Yeah.
So, I was going to ask how everyone feels about bonuses to what might be considered a main game when you have the romantic encounters. Persona was always interesting for me because I wasn't just molding myself to make the romance work. I wasn't just picking the options to make the romance work. I was also like, okay, how do I make the combat thing better? And that feels weird and contrived in a lot of ways because it's unrelated to the romance, but at the same time there's something in it for me, like I'm meeting halfway in respects of that. It's not just like getting to see the dialogue options or kind of molding myself to the way the character wants or feels. I don't know.
Well, that's like Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I was going to say that's exactly like Awakening and all three Fates games are like that very much, where it's like
the eugenics simulator.
Eugenics
because
simulator.
With that one, you get
child soldier.
And I could even bring up Conception 2, Legend of the Seven Stars here. But like you have children and they become party members, and so you want them to have the best stats or the coolest hair color. So you have to pick husbando that has those qualities
to max out your child soldier stats and hair.
Yeah. So I'd like that less because when I like make a decision, I'd prefer to just pick the character I like instead of worrying about the stats game. But the stats game's kind of fun.
Yeah. I feel like when I do that, I don't even think about it's really dehumanizing. Like I'm just like completely separating the characters. Like I have made two characters get married in Fire Emblem Conquest and Birthright that hate each other, but I'm like, your kid is gonna be like top tier, awesome, like 10 out of 10. So
don't worry, in 3 generations you'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. See, it's awful. Like,
well, and especially in the ones where you can marry your relatives.
So I want to go back to like Mystic Messenger compared to other genres.
Yes,
right.
self like the whole like being able to role play it out and stuff. Now this might partially just be bad memory, but I remember like more visual novel-y dating sims, the character actually having like this kind of established personality that's more shifted for your choices. The most recent one I remember playing was like this dating sim where you go to this cat cafe and you sign this contract and you become a cat at night, and anyway, but like the character had a personality and it was just like at times I got to make decisions, but there was dialogue in between I didn't get to choose that happened anyway. Meanwhile, like Mystic,
I like that.
Hatofo's like that too.
Yeah. Well, Mystic Messenger is just, you just get your dialogue choices and that's it. Although some of the main character's personality, I guess, comes out in the way they craft the emails to the clients. I don't know if that's intentional or just kind of fluff writing.
With the emails, it's like either it's the perfect, most polished, wonderful answer, or it has like lol JK in it 8 times. Like, and I don't know which one's the character. It's probably both, but it's I don't know. Like you and me, like I don't even have to look at the arrow indication of whether or not I messed up the email. It's just how many times does JK like,
professional writing, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's unlike my experiences, to be honest.
Okay.
I find that the ones I've played, it's just like, this is who they are, this is how they end up, and you're along for the ride or you're not type of thing. Like Amnesia, I keep going back to Amnesia because that's the fresh one, and it seems pretty laid out. Like my favorite, which I forget his name, but essentially he has this problem where if he stares at women, they fall in love with him instantly and become rabid fans, but it doesn't work on you. And he tries to find out why. And so that's why well, he dates the other girls for only a month or 3 months or something and then dumps them. And people think it's because it's a bad reputation. He just like wants to sleep with the girls, but it's actually because he has this problem with his eyes. And that just happens no matter what. And you just kind of, and like that's a game I don't like because you're so passive in that game where you're just like, I'm just going along and I'm either
smile and nod.
Yeah, type thing. And there's like, you're so passive. And then he like, the men in that game just manhandle you all the time. They're like, I would like to kiss you now. And then they just kiss you. And it's kind of like uncomfortable at times. And you're just like sitting like your character's face is like eyes wide open. You're just like, this like the whole time. Those games I like less. I like the ones that, again, that's why I like Zen, because at least you can hit on him, which is something you can't do for a lot of games.
That's very true. Like,
unless you're playing games where you're a guy character, that's a whole other thing.
I was curious about that because I haven't played a game. I mean, with the exception of Dragon Age, where you can be whatever gender you want, really, but it doesn't change the like dialogue options that are available. Like it might change the people you can romance in general, but it doesn't change the way that you speak to them, right? You have your red option, your purple option, and your blue option, no matter what. How does it change when you're playing, like, instead of the dating boys simulator, how does that change when you play dating girls simulator?
Well, I mean, usually Dating Girl Simulator is less about relationships and more about sex. Okay. So, like, your goal is to... And usually it's just, like, a forwardness level. So, like, some characters you can be super forward. Usually they're the ones wearing revealing clothing. And then the ones that look more like 8-year-olds, you have to, like, ease into a little bit more. Which I know, yes, God. I'm sorry. But this is the reality we're living in today.
It's accurate.
It's horrible.
It's gross, but accurate.
I'm not denying its accuracy. I am just...
I think Katawa Shoujo is, like, a little bit more relationship focused.
A little bit, but there's, like...
But they still have sex at the end.
There's, during, like, multiple times.
Really? Okay.
Although you can turn sex scenes on and off.
But then you're not playing the real game.
Yeah.
You're just cutting out a portion of the game. I will give a shout out to Lady Killer in a Bind, though. Whoop, whoop. That is a new game that Christine Love developed. That is a sexy game where you're a female protagonist. I believe, like, your main love interest is a woman as well. I haven't played it yet.
I haven't got to play it yet either, but I'm, like, looking forward to it.
Yeah. But the X-rated version is now on Steam, because there was a censored version on Steam, and I was like, I'm waiting.
That's why I was waiting. Yep, I was like, I am no censorship. Nope,
so maybe we'll have further developments on this. But yeah, typically it's sex related, and like the girls aren't that hard to romance, in my opinion. Like, maybe it's because I'm a woman myself, but I'm like, if I were just like brain dead and was just wanted to be sexually available to this male character, how would I want him to approach me? And like, usually it's, pretty easy.
So that passive sort of female character is present in dating sims regardless of
really. Well, I mean, some of them have the what is it, the soon or whatever, like personality, where it's like they pretend like they're not interested but they are. Some are straight up probably like with honey pops like that, where there's some that are just like, let's have sex and smoke, and like she's the one with the red hair and looks kind of goth. Of course, she's
a redhead.
So you're like, oh well, she's like a little alt. Well, honey pop has like all the tropes: the nerd, the student, the teacher.
Oh god,
the MILF.
What? The MILF. Yeah. I have 3 kids, and I drive a van.
Nice.
But I don't look like it. Don't worry.
I'm a cat with human body.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where's the route where you get to be with the cat and just pet them, and that's it?
Yeah. Like, is there a friendship route with a cat?
I was gonna say Juman's route, maybe.
You told me the cat was a rival.
Elizabeth III needs to be bad. I know that from reading. Needs to be bad.
Elizabeth III needs to be bad.
Oh.
I mean, like, I guess she's a rival in Zen's route, too. Because, well, not rival. She's more like the antagonist.
You have to demonize Elizabeth III in Zen's route because he's allergic to the cat, and you have to be like, don't want your cat in my life.
And gays.
Oh, yeah, because she hates the cat too.
Yeah,
Just
there's
take care of the cat.
Yeah.
but there's no dog in Mystic Messenger, so you can't be a dog
Interesting.
person. And
Well, you can say you are, and then they're like, oh, well, I like cats, or I don't like cats.
it's a major point of contention.
Cats are important.
Yeah, and also asking if you've eaten or not, which is a Korean thing.
Okay.
You greet
I was
people
wondering
by
about that.
asking, instead of "Hi, how are you?" you ask them if they've eaten.
Okay, I was like,
Is it like?
I just woke up.
Ask what you had though.
No.
Like, have you eaten? But the next step is like, what?
It's an expression. It's not always necessarily like literally like "Have you eaten?" It's like "Are you well?
Okay.
Have you eaten?"
Oh, so
Yeah.
every time I've said no, not yet, and they've
They're
gotten
like,
really
"Oh,
upset.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
like, I just woke up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go eat when I'm hungry.
It's a nice reminder if you
Okay.
have a regular meal schedule. So.
I like that.
Keeps you on track a little bit.
I
Keeps you
had no
regular.
idea.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of like weird Korean things, which I mean, like, is a nice introduction if you want to
Yeah.
learn more about Korean culture. Like, you're like, what's this?
Yeah.
In line with thinking about who is like the central character, I guess. Are there any Sims where you're a very, very solid established character? Like the role play is very clear, and then the idea is that I don't know, others initiate like intimacy relative to that. I don't know, but they kind of like they kind of fish for details about you.
I've played.
Is that a weird?
Well, they do ask you questions about you. Okay, like Mystic
Yeah.
Messenger is actually pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some characters, like a game I played. There's lots of like shitty mobile games, like for dating sims that aren't very good in my opinion. I played a little bit of. There's like a Wizard of Oz themed one or something like that, where
That is
you're
so
like.
not my jam. Like, oh
But
God.
it's like done in this like style that's like not Wizard of Oz really. It's like a fantasy one, and everyone's a beast or something, and you're like a princess they're sending you to marry the king, and so you are a character, but I feel like you're still you. I didn't play much of it though. There was like a lot of weird like timing things, weird mobile game timing things, and a dress up mode which I cared not about.
Yeah, because the way the game is oriented, it just seems like it's always on you to figure them out.
You're always usually you. That's the thing. You're not. You're really supposed to be like Alex in this world,
Okay.
or a character. I mean, amnesia a little bit, but again, you forgot everything, so you could really insert other things. But in like one route, you were in a band or something.
That's
Um,
cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I've played. I guess it was more of a visual novel, but it was like also kind of it was a visual novel that was relationship focused, where you were this like music teacher, you were dating this like drifter who kind of was trying. I don't remember the full story.
It gets really complicated.
Yeah.
To explain the details
Yeah.
of these kind of things.
Yeah.
Like you had inherited a choir or something, but
What?
you didn't want to be in charge of it because
So this is like
Yeah.
Gem, sort of.
sort of.
Wow.
And anyway, there's this like drummer and like famous like composer guy. And you're the drummer. Yeah, you're a drummer, and they're a famous composer guy, and he's all like, yo, I'm going to make this awesome, and like you slowly develop a relationship, and it's like both of them are very established characters, but there's still like dialogue options going on. But I guess it was more of a visual novel technically, but like it's also a dating sim because it's focusing on dating in a way.
Yeah, that sounds really weird.
Yeah.
But probably like not the norm.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, Japanese unlocalized games, probably a different story.
Drumming up some romance.
Oh, no.
And we're back.
There's a
Just cut it
Yeah.
now. I'm done.
but like maybe that's the thing though, because like there's genres are dumb, but like there's a perception of what the JRPG is in the Western, and I'm making a point here.
Yeah.
Western RPG, and Western RPGs are supposed to be like more put yourself in, and JRPGs are more defined. So if there is a perception that Western markets want to put yourself in, we're only going to get those ones localized.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
those are the ones that are going to be sold
Yeah.
in that perception.
When do we do part 2 of this? Are we going to all play Persona 5?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to play Persona 5.
Yeah, Persona 5 is happening.
Mass Effect
Yeah.
Andromeda.
Yeah, lots of new ones coming out.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. We're over time. So.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the First Person Podcast. I would like to thank Neil Randall and the staff at the Games Institute for their support, as well as Alex Fleck, our podcast producer. We'd also like to thank Stephen Trothan, who wrote and composed our theme music.